You and your partner get into an argument. This one gets loud, but only really one of you. One of you gets louder. Maybe you start explaining, repeating yourself, pushing for answers. In the relationship, that is traditionally moi. While the other person seems checked out. Maybe they shut down. Maybe they leave the room. Maybe they just are staring at you blankly and you're like, oh my God, what in the world? And now you're not just mad about the argument, you're mad that they won't even engage with you. Does this sound familiar for you?
You're listening to the Better Relationships After Baby podcast, where I believe things can actually be better than ever after having kids. But it takes intentional conversation, personal growth, and community to get there. I'm Chelsea Skaggs, life and relationship coach, fellow mom and wife, and lover of taboo topics. I'm here to give you insight, practical tools, and conversations to help your relationships survive and thrive through the big changes of parenthood. Let's get into today's episode.
Hello, friends. We're back. We're back for another episode of Better Relationships After Baby. Those of you who watch the video, you might notice that my space looks a little different today. One of the libraries near to us has this whole podcasting room, which is such a cool resource to have. And I typically use my equipment at home. And I decided, you know what? Let me get out of the house and try this out. So I'm really pumped about the opportunity to have this studio here and to be leaning into community resources. I am a big fan of learning about the resources in your community and utilizing them. I'm a huge fan of libraries. I also just saw that this library, I'm using the one in Westerville, Ohio, that this library also has a tool lending program for plumbing tools and special build tools and all of this stuff. And I love that so much. My husband and I are very connected to this idea of community being showing up for each other and not having so much individualism. This is not the topic for today, by the way, but this is your reminder that we were not made for as much individualism as we have in our world and in our life right now. If motherhood, if parenthood, if marriage feel heavy, maybe that's because we live in a society that has so glorified individualism that now we're trying to do everything on our own and we feel funny or silly when we need to ask for help or we want to borrow something. It's almost like we should have everything by ourselves in our own garages and have everything together and put together behind the scenes on our own. And I just think that's silly. I think one of the only ways we are going to move forward as a society and specifically as families is if we learn the power of community together again. So that's my plug for that. If you are someone who's looking for community in the coaching sense, I will make a quick plug that I have a new cohort of the Confident Mom Reset that is kicking off April 6th. This is a 4-week program and it is built to help you reclaim some of your power, get to know yourself again, get to enjoy yourself again, and think about some of those roles outside of mom and wife. So if you're someone who is looking for that right now, that is the only group coaching I have at this time. Otherwise, it's individual and couples, but I love the communal spaces. And so if that's for you, get on it quickly. I do keep this as a small group to maintain intimacy, and so everyone gets some time to be supported. Speaking of support, I'm going to set a scene for you that might be familiar. All right, let's set the scene. You and your partner get into an argument. This one gets loud, but only really one of you. One of you gets louder. Maybe you start explaining, repeating yourself, pushing for answers. In the relationship, that is traditionally moi. While the other person seems checked out. Maybe they shut down. Maybe they leave the room. Maybe they just are staring at you blankly and you're like, oh my God, what in the world? And now you're not just mad about the argument, you're mad that they won't even engage with you. Does this sound familiar for you? Or maybe this is something you see in your partner. Common misconception is that you might think this is just personality differences, but I also want to offer this idea that it can be nervous system responses. Okay, so this dynamic can create major resentment. There's that resentment word. This dynamic can create some major resentment if you don't break the cycle. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that my work, my mission is all about breaking cycles in relationships so that you're not wasting your time and your energy, which are precious resources in your life, having the same argument over and over again, or being stuck in the same place. Being stuck is not wrong. If you are trying new things, you're going to get stuck. You're going to fail. You're going to have to come up with a new way. But getting stuck on the same argument over and over again, that has to feel maddening, doesn't it? I mean, I know, I've been there before. My expertise is in being a detective for relationships to point out where things go downhill, where you get in that same argument over and over again, and where the core of the disconnect is so that you know what to address. And I tell you what, if this does not cause some resentment, maybe it's resentment of you always get loud and push me to my point and I need a moment to regroup, but you keep getting louder and you push harder until I just explode and then I'm the bad guy. Or maybe it's resentment of, oh, I feel like I'm the only one taking care of this issue and you just check out and don't even have to think about it, but it still has to be solved. So what is it just on me to do? Do either of those feel familiar? Hi, hello, babe. It's okay, okay? Let me hug you. I'm giving you a hug right now. It's okay. And please don't stay there. That's so silly. Let's talk about why we get into this and some ways to move towards long-term fixes. The real reason you're stuck in this pattern is because one of you is in fight mode. You escalate because you want the resolution now. Maybe your body, your nervous system cannot calm down until there's some resolution, until there is certainty that you're not hanging in the air by yourself on this. And the other might be in flight mode. Their nervous system shuts down because they feel overwhelmed. So maybe you are the person that you're like, I can't engage in this right now. Everything's buzzing. It's overstimulating. I have to find some center and some peace first. Neither is wrong, but neither approach in and of itself works. This can feel personal. A lot of things in your relationship are not personal, but feel personal, especially because of how much pressure and investment we put into our relationship, especially, monogamous, long-term relationships. We get a lot of our identity and our feedback from our partner, and so more things feel personal than they need to, and that is the truth here. The loud partner feels ignored or dismissed. Why is my partner choosing to ignore me when I bring this up? Or how do they have the audacity to dismiss this conversation when it hasn't had a resolution? And the quiet partner feels attacked or pressured. They feel like they don't have a moment to get their bearings, and it feels like an attack. It's not that either of you don't care about the other person. It's that you're not sure how to re-engage when that goes off the rails. So let's talk about breaking the cycle in the moment and then long term. For the loud partner, I hear you, I see you, I love you, I am you. Instead of repeating yourself, pause. Okay, pause. And say something like, hey, I notice you're shutting down right now. I don't want to push, but I do want to understand you. What do you need right now? And if you feel your voice rising, boo, take a deep breath before continuing. You also, as the loud partner, get to ask yourself what you need. Why are you getting louder? Why are you pushing harder? Because if you figure out what's driving that, then you can stop it. You can do something different. If it's that you don't want this lingering in the air, unresolved, just flipping up in your brain like an open tab, then tell that to your partner. I need to put this somewhere, okay? I need to know that there's a time to come back to this if you need to take a pause. Otherwise, you taking a pause feels really hard, feels really frustrating for me. So you get to ask, hey, I don't want to push you. I want to understand you. What do you need? And you get to ask yourself that. What is causing me to keep pushing in and to get louder? What is that fear? What's going on in me? Now, if you're the shutdown partner, instead of just going silent, give your partner something to work with. Okay? It could be as simple as, I need a minute to think, but I promise I'll come back to this within 15 minutes. You honor what you need. And then you also, when you come back ready to talk, get to ask the question, hey, it seems like that was really important to you, and I wasn't able to address it without taking a break, but now I want to understand, what do you need to feel calm? What do you need for this to not be a big stressor for you? Okay, your partner isn't trying to trap you, but they do need a signal that you're still in this conversation with them. Now, for the long term, I'm going to say, book a call with me and do my 4-month relationship road mapping with me, because you're going to learn so much about yourself and so much about your partner that you are not having to do these quick fixes anymore, but you have long-term insight and conversation and goals and gains to work with. So that's the first thing. Book a call with me. Next, or maybe simultaneously, is having a conversation outside of conflict about how to handle arguments better. The best time to talk about arguments are when you're in a good space, because you're able to see each other as a teammate. You're able to see that you have common goals. You're able to see that you are on the same team, and you're able to talk a little more objectively about how you both approach the situation. Pick a safe phrase like time out or let's reset to pause a fight before it spirals. You get to throw the flag on the field and call it timeout. Flags don't really result in timeouts, do they? You can tell I don't watch a lot of sports, but hopefully you get the point. And practice some quick repair. Even if it's just, I see what happened there. Let's try this again. Or, oof, we are off track. Can we restart this conversation? Okay, you get to be in control of the communication and the connection that you have with your partner. I mean, the two of you together get to be in control of what that relationship is like. It is not the outside world that gets to tell you whether your relationship is successful or not. It is not your mother-in-law or your mother who gets to tell you if your marriage is where you want it to be. You get to decide what the sweet love with this partner is going to be like, and you get to choose to keep working for it. So next time you feel this dynamic happening, I'm going to challenge you. Pause and name it. Start calling it out. Oof, we're in that loud shutdown loop again. Or, oof, we're in the you go high, I go low. Or you go loud, I go silent. Take the pressure off and know when it's time to switch gears. And of course, like I already said, I'm here to help you do that, because this is a lot to do on your own when you have a busy schedule. But I have the background, the tools, some kind of extra shortcuts, even not in the bad way, just like save you some heartache, save you some pain. Let me help you cut to the chase and enjoy more of this life that you've built together. Give me a call if you want to do that, and I will see you next week.
If you enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful if you take a minute to help spread the word. As a small business owner, shares and reviews go a long way. So share this episode with a friend, share it on your social media, and please leave a review if you haven't done so. This helps these messages get to more mamas, and you guys, that's how we change the world.